Hey everyone, have you ever committed some tiny act, some weeny little choice, a minuscule action, which you thought nothing of in the moment, then it turned out that that spur-of-the-moment decision had a much bigger impact later on? Like, deciding not to put on your sunscreen one summer's day, thinking, it's not going to be that sunny outside today, only for you to be diagnosed with cancer 20 years later. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about today, baby. Not the cancer stuff, but the, 3 small acts in the moment that had huge historical impact. And who knows? Maybe you'll learn to be more conscious of your choices, James. Here's a good example. Giustiniani
Longo.
Thank you. Giovanni
Giustiniani Longo.
That's his name, anyway. Giovanni was a Greek and Genoese captain, and in the fated year of 1453, he decided to go and aid in the defense of Constantinople by the Byzantines against the rising Ottoman Empire. Thanks to the amazing walls of Constantinople, the city would manage to hold for a surprising amount of time. The heavy Ottoman cannon fire couldn't do much, and what damage was done would be quickly repaired. And Giovanni helped by just being himself. A rather charismatic dude. He was able to convince the various defenders to actually, work together and defend. Yeah, pretty useful guy to have. Hey, Captain Giovanni? Maybe you shouldn't be standing out here on top of the wall, so close to the battle? We can have a guy send you the info on what's happening out here, You're kind of important, so maybe don't be out here where you can, die. Nonsense, my boy! These Ottoman fools can't hurt me. They're too distracted by the beauty of these walls. I'll never die! What was that last part, sir? Well, I didn't die! Yeah, Giovanni was struck down. We don't know what struck him down. Some say cannon fire, others say crossbow bolt. But seeing as he didn't die, probably a stray cannonball that only hit around him or something. But obviously, if your captain is wounded, he must be carried back to safety. Somewhere safe. Oh, I know! Inside the city! But to get inside the city, one needs to go through these large, heavy, defendable, and locked gates. The gates were supposed to stay closed and locked the whole time, but were open to let Giovanni in, obviously. And here comes the small act, committed by a set of unknown soldiers, because after Giovanni had made it through, they forgot to lock and close the gates. Hey, I feel like we forgot something. If you forgot about it, it doesn't matter. True. Hey, isn't that one of the fearful, fleeing, panicking civilians? Yeah, what about it? Aren't they supposed to be on that side of the wall? Oh yeah. Wait. Quickly, fleeing and panicking spread like an illness from the people to the soldiers. This allowed the Ottoman soldiers, sieging this gate in particular, to easily just kind of walk into the city. And that was the first Ottoman army to enter the city itself, which means in all likelihood the walls would have held a lot longer if not for this one slip-up, and soon enough the city sadly fell, marking the end of the Byzantine Empire. Well, for those of you less astute in history, you might ask, well, why does this one city matter? What big consequences did it really have? Oh my sweet summer child. All the consequences! You see, Constantinople is here. And at the time, all the territory around it, pretty much, was held by Muslim powers. And they didn't really like the Christian powers in Western Europe that kept trying to kill them. This left Constantinople as one of the only safe trade routes for Europeans to get Eastern goods, like spices. The Ottomans, however, after taking the city, blocked the trade routes from India and China to Europe entirely. Especially for Portugal, for some reason. This forced Europe to look for new routes to India, and now I'm sure even you know where this is going, Jacob. This led to Columbus accidentally bumping into the Americas, named after another guy. This set in motion the events that would lead to colonialism. Colonialism would lead to the Industrial Revolution, which leads to the World Wars, deaths of millions, nukes, global warming. So, essentially, leaving that gate open led to the creation of, a lot. Pretty much the entire timeline going forward was decided by that day. Now, in recent times, this story with the gate is heavily debated and claimed to be false, and even if it was true, the walls would likely fall eventually, sadly. The open gates only hastened the inevitable. And I'm not trying to downplay the Ottomans here. What they accomplished was really impressive. However, it is interesting to think about how these mistakes by just a few dudes changed the course of human history forever. Next up, everyone has heard of the small mistake that cost World War I. Driver takes a wrong turn, guy gets shot, bada bing bada boom, it's wartime. But have you heard of the small mistake that costed Germany World War II? Well, in the West at least. Meet Erwin Rommel, an accomplished and successful tactician and leader in the no-no German army. He was tasked with defending the coasts of occupied France from the inevitable D-Day attack, the D-Day attack being what enabled Allied troops to retake Western Europe. The problem for Rommel was that no one could figure out where or when the D-Day attacks would land. So after probably being very bored for a while, Erwin looked at the calendar one day and said, "Oh yeah, it's the 5th of June. Ich better go back to Deutschland and celebrate my wife's birthday tomorrow." And so he did. He went home and left the German army without their best tactician. And wouldn't you know it, the D-Day invasion just so happened to land on the 6th of June, while Rommel was celebrating his wife instead. But what if Rommel was a bad husband and decided to stay in France? What if under his command, the Germans actually repelled the D-Day invasion? Would the Germans holding in the West allow them to fight the Soviets for longer? Could it have been a victory for the no-no mustache man? Probably not. But Erwin not being there definitely sealed the fate of many Germans in France. All because he loved his wife. Next, what if I told you that, again, during World War II, the Japanese got nuked because of a translation error? Sounds crazy, I know, but apparently after the first nukes were ready to go, the United States sent an ultimatum to Japan, basically saying, "Surrender, or be destroyed." The Japanese Prime Minister at the time, Kentaro Suzuki, stated that the government was going to put the demands into mokusatsu. This is one of those complicated Japanese words with multiple meanings. The intended meaning was careful consideration, but the meaning understood by American translators was ignored completely. How two complete opposite meanings were derived, I have no clue. Ignored completely? I'll show them what happens when you completely ignore the president of the free world! Not many days later, the order was given for 2 cities to be nuked. And on that grim note, that was 3 small mistakes that changed human history. If you want more on this sort of topic, or more videos like this in general, let me know in the comments below, and have a good day, folks.